What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the TACBox Podcast. I am here with my co-host, my partner in crime, Dale Martenson. I am Tyson Wald, and we are fresh off of some crazy weekend travels this weekend. Dale, what were you up to this weekend?
I was down in Memphis to the Memphis Toy Dog Club. They have a Toy Dog Club specialty. Bueno, very wonderful club. I mean, it's a great facility, very cool town. I mean, it's like if someone's thinking about a little vacay dog show thing, they have a trailer all breed shows and the toy dog shows there, and it's a very, very nice. I mean, it's hot outside, but it's cold in there. It's a nice venue and super nice people. And there's some great Elvis restaurants where you can go to there and have Elvis come sing at your table. I mean, it's just all good.
So is that the picture I saw? You were with somebody where they dressed up as Elvis? Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
yeah, yeah. He's a full-time Elvis impersonator.
Wow.
He knows almost 560 Elvis songs.
Holy cow. I didn't even know Elvis had that many songs.
There was Elvis had done over slightly over 600 songs. Fun fact, trivia, and this guy knew over 500.
Wow. I mean, that's a feat in itself right there. My gosh.
There you go. There you go.
So what was the lineup like? Like, I mean, obviously, Chin, Cavalier, close to our hearts, Cockers. Was there some decent Cockers and Calves and
There was
Chin?
some really beautiful toy dogs there. I didn't get over to a lot, and then of course over the Alburys there were some really nice dogs there. And one thing that I noticed at that particular show that I think might be kind of our segue into our conversation is there was some really amazing sportsmanship, and there were some people really having fun at that show together, showing their dogs, hanging out, and it was kind of a pretty great atmosphere, honestly.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's the kind of what we wanted to talk about today is the sportsmanship side of dog shows, showing dogs, attending the show, whether you're participating or not. There was a couple people that I met at this show this past weekend, that were really just attending the show, not necessarily participating a whole ton, or maybe they were there to ring steward and don't have a dog or don't show dogs, but they're volunteering to steward, or had a beginner puppy. So a couple people that were there came across our podcast and showed up because of our podcast, or listened to the podcast because they were driving 8 hours. So,
That
shout
way,
out to,
very cool story.
yeah. So shout out to Catherine and Kristen for showing up at the show. They're podcast listeners. So we'll give them a little bit of a shout out here. And that was something that, I kind of noticed this weekend and in the last couple of shows is the sportsmanship side of it. So we really want to dive into that today and talk about the sportsmanship in the dog show world, because when you're let's just say you're a beginner, or maybe you don't show dogs at all, and you are watching Westminster, or you're sitting on Thanksgiving Day watching the dog show, and what do you see on the TV? As you see, and the winner is the French Bulldog or whatever. Everybody walks up and congratulates them, and they're crying and all the things, and it's like that's just part of what you see. Let's dig in a little bit deeper and talk about the side of stuff that you don't see all the time.
And we're not so proud of. Yeah. Okay. So, and I mean, totally get it. Human nature. We tend to not forget trespasses against us. That tends to be a sticking point for people. That's like it's a pretty big person that can be in the right and let something go, because a lot of times that's just not going to happen. But I see far too often, and it is competition, and everybody wants to win. And I mean, the competition can be, and it can get real personal, and then it can go bleed over onto social media and online. And I start seeing things like people posting on some pretty negative stuff on some of those reviews, report cards, this, that, and it's a temptation, if you know something negative, to not to sit on it, and not pass it on. I mean, and I see that a lot in dogs. I hate it, but it's like, oh, they heard something negative. Well, let me go over and tell you. You know, they said so and so said your dog's ugly. And so and so said that, you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong and that you're, just all kinds of wrong. And I think it bleeds over into clubs where we have people, are they going to be accepted into the club or are they going to get refused into the club? I mean, are we going to, is someone good enough, a good enough person to belong to a dog club? And so I kind of, that is something that we see often. And as a new person to dogs, how have you been exposed to like the negativity as you're getting, you know, without revealing names to protect the guilty and the innocent, how has that affected you?
Well, so there's so many different levels of negativity and positivity. It's not all negative. There's a lot of positive, and
Tons.
so when you're a new person, and this is all just from my experience, so it might not be the same experience everybody has. So if you're listening and you're like, "Oh, I haven't experienced that," this is just what I experienced it, and I think every breed is a little bit different. We're coming from we show Japanese chin in our family here. So we're in a super small breed. You can go to shows and not see another chin, for 3 months at three different shows in the Midwest here. Like it's super small numbers at shows. We're not like golden retrievers where you're going to have 25 entries or whatever in every single show. But so when you first come in, everybody's just kind of like, everything's pretty positive because it's that you're the new person, so they want to either win you over or
You're now a part of
recruit you. They can vomit their opinions on you and hope that they stick, and and then you develop their opinions on whatever it is around you. They can always seem very helpful, but just keep in mind they're not giving you all the secrets. They're giving you the secrets that the common stuff that like, oh, let me be helpful and help this out. And so there are some positive things. The negative side of things is when you're a new person is people don't know you, and it's a very groupy type of sport and atmosphere at a dog show. Like if nobody knows you and you're walking in there and you're just there, like no one's probably going to talk to you, and you're going to kind of feel like an outsider and alone for a little bit until
like
tell enough people.
person in cheers that they don't go, the one person, then they go and go, "Hey, Tyson." It's like, nope, they're just walking in. Everybody else knows everyone, and you're like anonymous.
Yeah, and it feels super weird, and then you win. And you win a best of opposite sex or something, and you're on cloud nine because when you're first starting, like that's a big deal. Like you placed with, and you don't know, are you in there with a handler? Are you in there with an owner handler? You have no clue because you're fresh, you're brand new, you don't know the people in there. So it's like you get a ribbon and you're just freaking pumped, you know.
Right.
And still at that point, whoever wins breed, they're still congratulating you because they just kicked your ass. Like they beat you. So they can say good job, and be all friendly and everything. Where you start seeing the changes is when you start winning breed and you start sending people home that don't get to go to the group ring now because you won breed, and you get to go to the group ring, and there's so many different levels because like now I won breed, you win breed, and maybe there's some handlers in there that you beat and your dog won breed, and now you get to go to the group ring, and it's like, oh sweet, I get to go represent my breed into the group ring. And it's like, in your mind, it should be, in my mind, it's like, I get to go represent the Japanese chin in the group. For everybody that's watching groups gets to see Japanese chin in the group ring in the toys, right? And so like you get super pumped about that. And the more you win, the more like people are taking notice and congratulating. But then the more you win, the more people are just like, this gets old, like anytime there's a sports team that wins a lot, everybody loves them for a little bit.
For a little
And
bit.
then they win too much, and you start hearing, he said this, she said this, they said this, or like those people over there won the breed, and you can see them talking to other people, and you kind of just have to wade through that stuff, I think, as new people in the sport. But I think longer tenured people, they face the same thing, and that's probably how groups get created, right? I mean, is the groupies, they have something in common and they have the same type of opinions, and you start seeing the separation in there like that. Or the people that face a ton of the negativity and the talking and they just don't have fun anymore, so they quit showing up. I mean, What have you you've been in it so, so long and so, like, strung in there, and I'm sure you face so much positivity, and with your name and your experience and what you've accomplished, tons of positivity, but I'm sure you've had your haters through the years and your negativity that comes with that too, right?
Absolutely, because, the truth of the matter is, and here's a little shout out. So, tricolor chin, Mr. Perfect is the first tricolor chin to ever go best in show, all breed best in show. And so, there hasn't been a tricolor female in over a decade that has won a group until Tyson won a group on his tricolor bitch that he just finished and moved up. So huge congratulations. I don't think I've ever won a group on a tricolor female. So super hats off to you. Very cool. Proud of you. But when you do go in and you start to, sometimes everybody's running their own race. Everybody's got their own agenda. Are you finishing this dog because you're getting paid for it? Are you finishing this dog because this is Poopsie's other last puppy? Are you finishing this dog because for your breeding program? You just want out to show your dog to see if you can rank it. Everyone's got their own little agenda, what they're going for. And that's all good. Somewhere along the way, just going and having a weekend away from from home and eating out and hanging out with your dogs and seeing people, some of which you like, some of which, isn't enough. Now it's not like I didn't just get to win, I got to beat so and so. I get to beat a you, I get to beat a you. And it's like, did you see their face when I beat a them? And so it's human nature a little bit to enjoy the someone else's agony of defeat. I mean, I guess so. And I mean, and they're like, oh, they didn't buy a puppy for me. And so now, and then I beat them. And we see that, and I think that sometimes people's reason for participating can get off a notch because, you know, in the running community where we're all sitting there, you know, we're just running against ourselves. Sure, it's great if you win a class, awesome. But if you beat your time, great. If you came back from an injury and were able to redo it, awesome. I mean, and I can be encouraging to someone that's better or not as good, and it takes nothing away from me. But I think in dogs, there's a fair amount of my child is prettier than your child type of stuff. And I think that we see some negativity. And then the part I really don't like is like, if you can't beat them in the ring, then that taking it the next step and beating them outside the ring. That is the toxicity that is worse for our sport than any of the PETA crazy people or the animal rights wackadoodles that want to see us go. It's what we can do to each other. What we can go ahead and cannibalize our competitors. It's like, oh, it's not enough to just go in there and compete and try harder to win. No, no, no. We have to destroy them on a personal level, a professional level. How can we go after them? I mean, and the things that people will do to one another to just kind of mess with them is pretty unspeakable at times. And I think that's something that's, oh, I got them denied membership in the club. That shouldn't embarrass them, right? I went ahead and, told, turned them into animal control because they have 8 dogs instead of the 5 they're supposed to. Or, there's that kind of stuff can and does happen. I went ahead and broke the points because I didn't want to see them get a major. They won the first day. You know, all of that kind of stuff, kind of bad, kind of bad, kind of like leaves the whole idea of what the dog show and promoting stuff. I mean, winning's great, but just by the idea of getting to go and compete, enjoying your dog, enjoying some good company, and having an experience, that's a win too. There's wins all around,
There's a lot of pettiness in there, and I think, you kind of hit on it. There's a lot of human nature as human beings. Like, we're not going to lose. I mean, we're paying entry fees. we're spending a ton of money on lodging and food and travel to get there. We're not going in to lose. We all want to win. That's why we're all there. I don't think there's a single person that puts an entry fee in that says, "Yeah, I'm here just to lose." You want to win. We're humans, and naturally, when you don't win, it's a little disappointing and sad. And when you keep losing to the same person or the same dog or the same kennel, it gets frustrating. It can get very frustrating. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's zero wrong with being frustrated. There's zero wrong with being upset. There's nothing wrong with any of that. It's what you do with it that dictates things from there, right? Like if you keep getting beat, what are you doing to better yourself and to better the dog that you're going in the ring with? Like, are you wearing jeans and a button up in the ring? Maybe, wear a suit, see what happens. Maybe, look at what the person that's beating you all the time is their dog. You've said this before, clean is free. Are you going in with a clean dog? Because maybe you're simply just losing because they groomed better. They washed and shampooed and blow dried their dog better than you did, and it's visible just looking at the two dogs side by side of like, that one looks clean, that one doesn't. Winner. Like
It is, well, maybe, I always tell people when they come over and ask after judging, like, what can I do to improve? And I always like, go watch the videos from your national. Watch the people showing at the national, watch your breed class from the national, watch how those dogs look in the ring with those people who are competing on a top level, and look hard. Look honestly, like, how are they doing it? What does that look like? What does that conditioning look like? What does that presentation look like? And then have your friend video you. How do you look? I mean, watch and see. How do you shake out? There's a lot of ways you can deal with competition. You can get better. That's an idea. How about just get better? Practice, try harder. That's where amateurs and owner handlers can beat professionals because you got one dog. You can really you can get into that dog's head. You can really get into that dog's show well. You can put all of your efforts into that dog. You can count every kernel of food it eats. You can make sure that it poops before the ring, and you have all of your time focused on having that be as good as you can do. That's an advantage, because you can win sometimes on that, oftentimes on that. You can pick your judges. If you think that the judges are not connecting with your breed and they're just like, well, I don't care about these. How about that handler? Sure, why not? Well, then don't enter into them. Just say, okay, I'm not going to enter into them. I'll enter somewhere else. Lots of shows, maybe too many shows, but there's lots of shows. You don't have to enter. And if you don't think you've got to, think, I don't think I want to show to that judge, then don't. It's okay. No one says you have to enter every day. And then finally, if you really, you can enter around where your competition is going. Or if you think that this is truly unbeatable, well, then don't compete with them. Just go somewhere else. Go compete, in a different venue. If you can't win governor, try for mayor. I mean, go, just keep, there's lots of things you can do about it. But, to sit there and take your competition, whoever won or whoever, whatever, and disparage them, trash talk them, you know, question the ethics of everyone involved in that. It doesn't make you look better and it doesn't make them look worse. It makes the whole sport seem kind of bad, kind of pageant mom cheesy. And it doesn't make people want to come in. Because who wants to come in where you're going to be personally shredded and abused and talk trash about it? If you want that, you could go home to your family. I mean, there are plenty of people who know you that can tell smack on you. You know, you don't have to pay money for it; it can be free. But
well, that's part of it is like every single person pays to be here. You all put an entry fee in. You all paid the travel. We all want to be here. If I wanted to pay to go somewhere and get shit on, I'd go to the DMV and hang out. Somewhere you have to go. Like we all choose to be here. We get to be here, and we share this passion and excitement to do it. And there's so many different levels, right? Because we all love dogs. That's why we're going to a dog show. We want to show our dogs. And then there's the handler side of it, and there's the owner handler side of it, and there's kind of some separation a little bit there. And then there's the breed, or maybe the groups, maybe.
Bigger people, where we get really proud of the dogs that come down from our lineage that are doing well for other people. You kind of go, I made something maybe bigger than myself. You know, I mean, we all have, there's all of that is kind of it goes into that. But one thing that when you are competing and when you're showing at dog shows, that's because you have AKC privileges. And so it's a privilege to go to the show. It's a privilege to show your dog. You have responsibilities with those. And if you don't meet those responsibilities, one of them is to be a decent human being and, to not make a toxic atmosphere at the show. If you can't do that, you can be suspended or lose those privileges in all or part for an indefinite period of time. So, if you can't be in your happy pants, well, then just don't come, because it can get worse. Because if you go there and you show your butt, it might get kicked for you. I mean, that's not, you've got to, there is a decorum. And I see this on there and I see people, I mean, it's kind of like, it's like Fight Club or something, or they see someone going at it. And so then they kind of gather around like, who's going to win? I don't know, give them a knife, give them, give them a club, who's going for it. And I don't think that's a very healthy thing. I know it's bad for our sport. And I see this kind of stuff online. I hate it. I hate it. I saw some the other day, someone was posting about complaining about a dog they bought from somebody else. Well, here all these people are from outside of the deal, because we don't know what Sally told Susie. We don't know anything of it. We just know what we're reading here. We don't know. We don't know what led up to this. We don't know any of this stuff. And then her people go, you should turn them in. You should do this. You should that. You should blah, blah, blah. And they're like, and just getting in there is like, wow, let's see if we could throw a little gas on that fire. And what it really makes is nobody wants to go into there. The poster thinks that she's really righting her wrong. And in fact, really what's happening is people are going, ooh, I don't want to deal with you. You're scary. And that's when we go ahead and come off like a bunch of psychos at the dog show. Normal people go, yeah, no, not going to do that. And then we kind of like lose some of our credibility as being a great sport, a great activity, a great family activity, a fun pastime. Can be a business, could be a profession, could be just fun. I mean, it's a little something there for everybody, but the toxicity, that's a problem.
And it really is, because I mean, when you look at, we were talking about this the other day, is we're missing the 18 to 35 age range in any dog show. You go there, you're not going to see many 18 to 35-year-olds, and it's missing for a reason, and the toxicity doesn't help it at all. It's like, if you're a junior showing and you're having to deal with the toxicity all the time and you're seeing it all the time, like, why would you want to continue to do that when you have the choice on your own to continue or not to do that? Why would you want to? There's so much toxicity there, and it can even it gets into the rings. It gets in between. There was one instance this weekend where this judge, and I'm so new, like, I haven't had repeat judges yet, so every judge I have is a note taking, like, and you can tell even on the judges, like, who wants to be in the ring for that breed and who doesn't. I've had judges where I walk in, it's like, you can tell they don't want to be in there judging Japanese chin.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't like the breed and they just don't want to be there, or maybe they just don't like me. I don't know, but you can generally tell, and maybe that doesn't go well. But you take your notes and then you go, but you don't have to go talk shit about that judge on the internet or anywhere else. Is you know But anyway, so I had a judge this weekend. Never had her before. The first time I had her wasn't even in breed; it was in group, and she's the one that gave my tricolor bitch a group one.
Brilliant.
And yeah, brilliant judge. She's
Brilliant.
the most amazing judge I've ever seen in my life. She's
Simple, smart woman. Yeah, she
Yeah,
did.
she should be training everybody. So then the next day she does our breed ring, which of course everybody's in our breed ring like, great, the tricolor is going to win because she got a group one under this judge yesterday. They're already making all the assumptions, and I think that kind of puts the judge in a hard situation too, because it's like, well, I gave her a group one yesterday, so naturally it's probably kind of messing with it a little bit, but that doesn't mean in that judge's eyes that she was the nicest chin in the breed ring. It just means that she was the nicest toy in the toy group yesterday, in that judge's opinion. It doesn't mean she's the nicest chin at the show. It just meant that this is the chin that I got presented to me in toy group, and I like her, and she's better than all the other toys in here, so I give her a group one. That's what it meant.
That's exactly it. Because, and that's a super valid point, because like when I'm judging, and I have been in a group where other judges had done the breeds, and I'll give dogs group one or group placements that maybe I've beaten in the breeds multiple times for whatever reason. And that it's every ring entrance, it doesn't carry over. I was like, I mean, because if you took your little girl in there the next day and she showed badly, she didn't look as good, she didn't sleep well,
You,
she
as the handler, didn't perform. You didn't groom
right,
well that morning.
you messed up and you didn't get her to look her best, well, you might not win. And that's okay, because it's a competition each time. And so it's like there's no anything on that. You will have dogs that you will put up one time and maybe not the next time. And I can tell you myself, having to the point of like for my second year of officiating as a judge, it's, you know, I have empathy that yes, everybody wants to win and it's disappointing. And you're kind of like when you're putting their puppy down the floor and you're like, come on, buddy, you can do it. You can walk, you can do it. And then sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And then you get to make the tough choices, because you might be get a couple, two, three of them, and you go, I like this a lot, and I like this one a lot. And you put them back on the table and you look at them again, and you're like, and you're weighing it out, because it's like, this one's got a little bit better head, this one's in a little bit better coat, which one are you going to go with? And you have to make a decision in your 2.5 minutes. You have to decide how it's going to go today, what the priority is going to be. And it might be different tomorrow because you have the performance aspect. And so, I mean, I don't ever really like take it personally when someone's not happy. I mean, I don't expect them to hug me for fourth place. I mean, don't kick me, but it's like, hey, sorry you didn't win. Next time, it's not personal. It's just it's part of the thing. In order for someone to win, someone has to lose. And so you keep like the slot machine thing, you play enough, you're gonna have some winning hands, you're gonna have some losing hands. But the idea is you should be having a good time with it, and you should be able to go in there and have your positivity, like, okay, well, I didn't win. It's okay. Happy for you, you won, or at least not, but I don't like to see, I really, really dislike, worse than someone who's a bad sport and kind of got bad, a bad little attitude and demeanor. Those people are toxic in their own way. That's bad. But the people that like run, go tell the other person, that's super bad. That's really bad, because, it's like, okay, you can think I'm stupid and I'm terrible and whatever, an awful person, but you didn't come over and tell me to my face. You had to have someone else come over and like, oh, da 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 da, to try to influence you. Like, oh, now you don't like them. It's like it has nothing to do with that. All comes down to the point of like, I think you and I were talking about the other day about an exhibitor that was had a dog or selling dog, and said, oh well, Dale wouldn't sell me a dog. I didn't have a dog to sell them. I might have. I don't know. But it was like, and that kind of takes a story in itself. It's like, I wasn't refusing them or denying them or turning them away. It was like, there wasn't anything there, and it's not personal. It wasn't like oh yeah, I had them. Not you, that kind of thing. And things can kind of get that's a negativity. And I hate to see our sport used to make people feel bad. I hate to see it make them feel excluded. I hate to see it used to, like that we're like doing little social circles, and it's like, well, we all agree that this is the right with this and such, and that's not inclusive.
And it's so easy with social media now too, because you can paint the picture you want, and you can select, and you can put your opinion out there and gather all the people that have your same opinion. And on the topic of that judge, it's like I'm standing in a group ring, not with that judge. The judge is in the next group ring over. And, you know how it goes when you're in groups. And it's like if you're not next to show, you're all just standing in a circle talking, which is another topic of conversation because it annoys the crap out of me. I hate that.
Right? Show me again.
In the group ring, how everybody just stands around in a little circle and talks. And it's like, that bothers me so much. I don't know why we're all just not just stay in line. I don't know. It's just one of those little things, like maybe because I don't understand it.
It's a pet peeve of mine when, come in, stay in order. Don't wait till the last minute to run and make everyone move to let you in because you were too important to stand in line like everybody else.
It's like like
falls
you see
under
it.
that falls under bad ring manners for me.
Yeah, and it's just like you see the people, and then we're running off on a rabbit trail here, but you see the people. It's like they come in, they go around, they get in line, and then the judge is like, "Okay, first one up on the table, or first one stack, whatever you're doing." And then it's like the rest of everybody, other than the next person, they all fall back into the back of the ring, and then fans are coming out, water bottles are coming out, and all the things, and it's just like, what are we doing? And as a new person, that's really hard because your first time in the group ring, you're just like, "What is going on here?" And then it's like, "Well, you gotta stay in order, stay in order." Like, who am I behind? I don't know. And it just throws off. It's a cluster.
It's a little pomp and circumstance. Like, we're gonna make the dog wear the sparkly jacket and stand on the wet towel. It's like, well, newsflash, it's most of these shows, unless if it's that hot out, I mean, like if it's so hot out that you need to wrap your dog in wet blankets and have fans going on him, maybe you shouldn't show. Maybe you should take that dog home. Maybe it's too hot for that dog. Maybe it's not safe for that dog. If you have to wrap it in a wet blanket to have it safely get through this next experience for 15 minutes, well then maybe that dog is not in a safe environment. But yeah, I can, it's like, it's one thing. If it's one thing, like if you have an outside show and everyone goes under the shade, that's fine. Sure. Don't put your dogs out in the sun, keep your dogs comfortable. But I do think that there should be a semblance of keeping order. And so you can kind of like look back and I really hate it when I've stayed in my spot and then I get there and I get my dog ready for the last thing because the judge is going to walk back down and all these people dash up from the corner and where everyone has to move and make room for them so they can zoom in the last minute and whipping off the sparkle jackets and all that. It's like, oh, really? I mean, it sounds like we're bullfighting and we're matadors here. It should be about the dog. And it should be about, look, it's like really, really good handlers are not seen. And these are the people that need to be seen.
Yeah, and that wasn't even like that. That was just like a rabbit trail. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know, where I was going with that is back on the toxicity side of it. Is I'm standing there, and we're waiting for a turn. I'm talking to somebody, and I just asked her how her weekend was going. We're in the owner handler ring, so like I'm on cloud nine in the owner handler ring, and to me it means just as much as any other group. Probably more as an owner handler. It's a big accomplishment. And so I'm just standing there talking, asking her how her weekend went. And again, little things like that matters to people. You don't have to be toxic and shit on people's parades. Like, how's your weekend going? But it goes with like, oh, it's been pretty good, except for that judge over there. Like, she just doesn't like my stuff. And she's tearing this judge apart, just up and down, tearing this judge apart. Well, this is the judge over in the next ring that just gave me my group one. I love this judge. Like, I'm just like, this judge is the best judge in the world. Like, I got a group one yesterday, and so it's like the toxicity that we can spread just by talking with our words is just crazy because she's sitting here like killing this judge, and you're killing the judge to somebody that loves this judge. You never know who you're talking to.
I think that's kind of falls under the thing of awareness, of saying, of being aware of our words and aware of what we're saying. And you know, maybe someone else's experience with somebody is one thing, whether it's a judge, or whether it's a experience with dealing with another breeder or whatever. You know, I mean, have your own experience. You know, be honest with yourself on there before. And if it doesn't go exactly the way you wanted to, no one made you do it. You know, I mean, nobody held a gun on you. It's like, you will buy a puppy from them. You know, no, you contacted them. You made the deal. Now you're not happy. Well, then move on. Put your kid pants on. Move on from it. If you don't like what that judge's interpretation of the standard, and they're prioritizing, because, you know, I mean, hey, you know, the other thing, you know, if you think that the dog show community is aging out and they're maybe a little bit gray, the judges, we be older. You know, we're the olders of the oldies. And so,
And
like,
you're the younger of the oldie. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
that's
like,
well, that's why
you're one of the younger ones.
yeah. But when it comes down to it, these are people that have, like, been catching planes, getting caught up on layovers. They have been like, they've been up since early. They got shuttled over to the show, the beginning of the show, and from the time that they do the national anthem until the last ribbon's given up, they have to be like, and not, and it doesn't matter how many times people are laid into the ring and that they try to mess up their time, come in with the wrong armbands, don't do the, dog changes, make them wait, have their dogs poop and pee in the ring, and all of that, which all comes out of our time. The judges have this expectation of being like Julie McCoy from The Love Boat in order to every way have the best time in their whole life. And they're like live people too, that, and they're trying to make it through the day, through whatever challenge. They've been on their feet. They've been like going all day, and they're trying to they have an obligation to the American Kennel Club. They have an obligation to the exhibitors, and it's not as easy as it might seem. And it's not like, it doesn't seem like you just walk in there, go, it's like, no, there's a lot more to it. And you've got to be aware of a lot of these things. And so sometimes, maybe if that judge doesn't seem like they're super, super happy, well, they might have had a hard day. It might have been a tough one. They might have been, after you spend a couple of nights in an airport because your flight gets canceled 5, 6 times, and you come coasting on in there and don't really have time to hardly go to the hotel, and you're getting dressed and going to the show. And, it's like, there's something to that, I mean, where, a little empathy goes a long way. And I try to think of that towards, like, my exhibitors when they come in and their lead breaks or they got the wrong armband. It's like, oh yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I've done that too.
Or
You
they
know,
get the lead stuck around their collar, which happened to me this weekend in the group. I'm just like, oh my gosh! I was like, I'm
right
going
up.
to get my dog off the table and go do it down and back, and my lead gets stuck in my collar, and then it gets wrapped up on the button in the collar, and I'm like trying to get everybody's watching. Like, I mean, talk about
Oh yeah,
embarrassing.
well, yeah. They're all going live and they're watching it as you bend over, and your pants split out because you should like stop dry cleaning those pants like 4 or 5 times ago because they're just dry rotted, and they're like, okay, well, there you go. But yeah, no, it's everyone's doing the best they can with it. And I think that part of it is like a little self-awareness, and, a little self-awareness of the other people. And we can kind of, maybe agree to disagree and not be disagreeable type of thing. But without those people showing dogs that you hate, there wouldn't be a show. If there's competition there that's trying to get your points and to get your puppy sales, and they're trying to beat you, without them, there's no competition. So you can go ahead and want to beat them, but don't want to like disintegrate them where they're not. I mean, you don't have to be a total ass about it.
Yeah, beat them in the ring. Don't beat them outside the ring. Beat them in the ring.
There. How
And
about that?
I think we're getting so used to looking at life through the lens of a camera that we forget that sometimes we forget what it's like to look at in the mirror. We're so in technology phase, and we're looking at the camera and we're seeing everything else rather than looking in the mirror and seeing ourselves. And that's like something that's really big for me is what can I do if I get my butt kicked in the ring, and it's happened a ton, what can I do to be better? How can I be better? And when you self-reflect on, is my dog as good as that dog? What can I do to make my dog better? How can I be better? How can I do this? And one of the things that really hit, well, one of the things, there are multiple things. I mean, there's been so many things. I went to Texas and watched the specialty and learned so much and implemented a lot of that, and I'm seeing success from that. Went to the national, saw things there, implemented that. So a lot of the what can I do? And I, this isn't a pat on the back at all, but like I wish more people could have that. And one of the things that I'm trying to, I saw it this weekend and I saw it twice and I felt freaking awful. And so it's like that's something that I can do to make it better. And what it was 5 people in a freaking group ring. And it's like everybody, you have 5 people in a group ring, 4 people place, one person's doing the walk of shame. And what happens? Everybody goes up to the person that won. Congratulations, congratulations. And little fifth person over here is walking out by himself. And it's like, why don't we go to that fifth person and just be like, hey, really nice job, good job. Like
Co-
it takes is a little word of like, really good job, keep going, especially for the senior people to the younger people. And I don't care if it's a 60-year-old to a 40-year-old or an 80-year-old to a 60-year-old. If you can tell people, if you're going in and you're kicking everybody's ass, just tell everybody else, hey, you have a really nice dog. Keep going. A nice compliment goes a long way, and you can still feel good about yourself that you just kicked their butt in the ring. But
Yeah,
imagine being that fifth person in a group ring that doesn't get picked and everybody just shits on you because you're the fifth one. It's embarrassing already to be the only one walking out that didn't get picked. 4 out of 5 get picked and mine's the fifth.
right. No, hey, that is a very aware type of thing to make someone feel, out there. And that's something like personally, I have won and lost enough. And on people, they'll say, "Oh, did you find dogs that you like today judging?" I'm like, absolutely. Sometimes it's more of a treasure hunt than others, but absolutely. I always find a dog I like, always. And more importantly, the exhibitors. I can find the beauty in someone enjoying their dog, and it might be the perfect dog, but that might be their gateway dog. That might be the dog that gets them started. And who knows, maybe that'll be the next great breeder, the next great owner. You can either build these people up or you can tear them down and they're just going to quit. And so I think that when you have had a level of success where you are comfortable, where you don't have to sleep with your ribbons under your pillow, where you can actually walk over and tell someone else, "Wow, that's a really nice dog." You know, I mean, win or lose, congratulations. That's a beautiful puppy. I could take that puppy home. That's a beautiful puppy. It costs you nothing. I mean, but it says way more about you than it does them. It's like that person has enough that they can share a little positivity. And those are people that are having a good time with it. And I just don't see as though that I think that you may just say you may not want to have a dog dealing with them. You may want this, but it doesn't hurt you anything at all to be pleasant. It
I
it
mean, well,
just
and it doesn't, and it's just. I mean, I think we've lost that not only in dog showing, but in the world all over the place. But I don't want to talk politics or get canceled, so we'll keep it dog show related. But but think about this for a second. So say you have a breed, 2 owners show up, and there's 5 dogs entered, but between 2 people, you go in, you win breed, you kick ass every single day. That person, the other person, they lose 4 times in a row, 3 times, however many shows there are. If you say nothing to them and you walk out on your high horse, you think they're ever going to want to come back? That person gave you points. They showed up. They paid entry fees to be there. You got points off of them. You got something from these people that were there. They're also representing your breed as well. So like it doesn't take much just to be like, hey, you know what? You had a really solid weekend. And in your mind, like I kicked your ass. I won every single day. But you can tell them, good job. Keep it up. You have some nice dogs. Your day's coming. It doesn't hurt anything to do that. And that person might now come back to another show. Or
absolutely. Or if you see something that someone's doing and they could do it better, or maybe it'd be an advantageous thing, you say, "Hey, I have someone video that. Maybe you needed a little different lead. Maybe you need to move them a little differently. You know, there is no, anything to go ahead and throw a little bit of tweaking, because people can practice all they want to and they get in the ring and they'll get nervous. People who are very seasoned can get in there and get nervous. And I don't know. I think that we have a little bit of problem with some of the people who are showing feel a little bit entitled. There's some of that where they don't no longer have to compete, which, sorry, not the truth. And then we have some people feeling like that they can't compete. And that shouldn't be true either. That shouldn't be true either, because I mean, you should be able to go in there, you should be able to compete, and whether you're competing in ranking as an owner handler, because that's just a different way of ranking. You should have top ranked dogs and owner handle, or you're competing in the regular group. That's awesome too. All good. But I think the main thing is, if we want this to continue, if we want this to go on, you know, we do need to have other people. And do you want your relevance in dogs to end with your last show? Because when you've won your last ribbon and bred your last puppy, do you want that to be done? Or do you want to be able to say, oh, well, I got these people started and these people started. And like I say, I always want to try to, the people that have my weird little breed, if they want help with it, I'll help them. I'll help them do it. And if they beat you, well, good. That's fine. Keep at it. Dig in. We do a better job.
How about the let's talk about this for real quick to before we wrap it up. Like, so one of the things that I'm starting to experience more, and it's probably an awareness factor on my aspect, because again, I haven't even been showing for a year yet. It's like 10 months. And so I think at first you're kind of there and you're just like trying to figure out what's going on and where do I need to be? Where's my ring? What am I doing? And now I've been to enough shows where it's like I'm not sitting there staring at the ring wondering when my time is, because I know well enough now so I can enjoy where I'm standing and where I'm sitting with my family, and I can observe things around me more. But outside of the ring and outside of contestants, there's people that come to these dog shows in the local community to look at the dogs and the exhibitors. And if we're walking around with our noses up and we're complaining on, I can't wait just to get home. I can't. And these people that are in there to look at our dogs, and we can't even give them the time of day. Like, I don't know how many times this weekend people walk by and they're like, oh, look at the little puppy. Cause we had a younger dog with us. And it's like, well, do you want to touch him? Do you want to hold him? Like, I guess what I want to say is, don't be standoffish to the people in the community that are just coming around, because we just look like a bunch of assholes. And it's like these little kids in there that are coming through to look at our dogs. You can help mold their idea of dogs and dog showing for the good or the bad. If you're a standoffish butt and they're just kind of like, walking through, and it's like, oh yeah, but maybe they don't think yay or nay. But if you're gonna be like, hey, you want to hold my dog? You want to pet him? You want to walk him around? You want to touch him? You want to do this? Like that could have just made that kid's day. And then all of a sudden it could be like, I want to go back to dog shows. I want to show dogs. This is so cool. Like the toxicity can go beyond the inside of the ring and how we treat each other as competitors, but think about the community that's coming through and the building itself.
Well, and those are all super, super valid points, because, you know, that's one thing. Nothing is too big to fail. And I mean, I think sometimes we just kind of think, well, it's so big, you can just keep dumping your sewage in it and it's just going to keep assimilating it. No, we have to have people come from there. And when they're there, if you have an extra minute, they're interested in your breed. I mean, we were at Westminster one time and I look over there and Jane has handed Ricky, and he is like going on his like 12th person they're taking a selfie with. And I mean, he's like bouncing on down the thing, loving it, you know, great ambassador for the breed. And you get to chance to have I mean, people, you get a chance to talk to people, you get to bring people in. These might be awesome, great people that you meet there with these dogs. They might not be dog show people, but they might be really amazing people. And I think there's a lot of missed opportunities with that kind of thing, where we have an opportunity to show up. And something about where we were talking about the young people coming in. Part of bringing people in, like people like Future Farmers of America, 4-H, people like the kids they'll raise calves or do something like that. The goal would be that they're going to get a reward at the end of this, and that they're going to put their work towards something that's going to better them. So, I mean, what is wrong with the idea of like, hey, this family, if they want to breed their dog and raise a nice litter of puppies and sell them and maybe get a better dog and show it and kind of work their way for that. If the kids help do the work, maybe they can gets part of the money back on that too. It can be something that you can put an endeavor together. It doesn't just have to be a bunch of well-off people. We're going to show Poopsie and just and like all that. There can be people working on this, and it could be an investment that they can work to on a family business type of thing. And whether there's performance dogs, hunting dogs, show dogs, companion dogs, all of this is all under the same umbrella. And whether or not we don't like to think of it like we want to be a kind of exclusive and small, we need to be big tent. We need to be inclusive. We need to bring everybody in. And the more people we have in, the more interest we have, the bigger we all are, the bigger we all do. And that's where I think things are lost is like, if you want to open up a grooming shop, go in the corner of town where there's 3 other grooming shops and open up a grooming shop. You know, go in there where the people are going to do it and bring an A game and you'll do well. I mean, go in there. But, it's like, I think a lot of this idea of like, I'm going to run away from competition. I'm going to disparage my competition. I'm going to bury whatever judge that doesn't put up my dogs is just stupid and bad and crooked, all of that. And that's a road to nowhere, and I mean, and you're not, and the thing is, when they're sitting there complaining and being so negative and miserable, how much fun can that be? I mean, because like you said, you don't have to be there. There's no subpoena. You don't have to come. If you're not having fun, if you're not finding treasure hunting and finding that next great puppy, then you're missing out on a great experience. And I think that that's something that we can all kind of do because, hey, you want a really big ribbon. Maybe next week you won't win any ribbons, but maybe you're going to let a kid meet your dogs. It's going to be the next great breeder of the breed. You don't know. I mean, it's possibilities.
And nobody's bigger than the sport. And I think you could probably count. Well, you probably don't even have enough fingers to count. Like you find a breeder, somebody breeds the number 1 dog, or a handler has the number 1 dog, and it's like a one-hit wonder. It's like they're the highest that they could be, and guess like what? Like that, it's gone because they can never breed another good dog that has a success, or this handler never has a dog that had the success of that one. And it's like, enjoy it, have fun while it's there, because it can be taken away so fast. And you might not run across another number 1 dog. Like that's what we continue to keep chasing, right? Is this great dog, and you might be lucky enough to get it, and you get this number 1, this group placing, this best in show dog. You don't know when you're going to get it again, and it's super easy to get negative. And I even did it myself. I got the group 1, and then going into the ring, it was like I knew the judge wasn't going to place us. Well, I had a feeling the judge wasn't going to place us because she was the one that I was like, she doesn't want to be here. She didn't seem like she wanted to be in the chin ring. She wasn't giving them a look. And so I was like, well, this sucks. And it's like, it's super easy to get disappointed and be like, well, this is going to suck. But it's like, you still got a group 1. Like, holy crap. Like, you got to look back at your accomplishments of like, maybe you didn't win the best in show. Guess what? Only 1 dog does. So, what did you accomplish, and what did your dog achieve this weekend? And then even the day, I think the day matters. And like, I like to look at all the little things. This was a 4-day show, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When your dog can go out there and still perform on day 4 of being on the road,
Yeah.
like that's big. I mean, especially dependent on your breed. If you're not in like a sporting breed that those dogs are used to being ran and all over the place, and you're on a couch potato breed and you got them out off their couch and walking around a ring 4 times, 5 times a day for 4 days in a row, and they're sleeping not in their poofy little bed at the end of your bed or whatever. in an Airbnb or a hotel and they're performing on day 4 and they've been living in a kennel for 4 days.
That's amazing.
I mean, you got to think about that type of stuff and the positivity and keep it positive for your dog because they have an experience too, and your experience is going to be dictated by your dog's experience. You can give your dog a good experience; they're going to help your experience be better.
You turn around and you can look around and see all what you've done, or you can see what you haven't done. And I know that it's like there was a really nice handler, does a really great job, and I showed a bunch of dogs to me, and I just felt compelled to tell him, say, man, enjoy your ride home. You've got a band full of beautiful dogs. I mean, congratulations. You might not always have that, I mean, but when you have something special, enjoy that moment, enjoy the ride. You've got something really great, and doesn't happen every day. And that's part of what the whole idea of living in that moment and kind of enjoying that time. And I'll tell you, the winning comes and goes. Everything you'll have, sometimes you'll have great litters, sometimes they'll be, but your relationships and the people you meet, that lasts a lot. And when you've got those people that you've met through your dogs and all that, that are willing to save you a spot and wanting to go to dinner with you and share your success, and and drown your sorrows and all that, really the prize at the end. I mean, the ribbons are great, but the ribbons at the expense of any positivity and fun and relationships, that's just that's a short-lived happiness. It's going to only last until the next show.
And you have to think about the future. I mean, the future of the sport. If you want, I'm young enough to say if I want to be doing this in 40 years, then we need to help preserve and advocate for the next generation to be able to do this. And you're young enough to say that too, of like, I want to see the next generation be able to come in and enjoy the sport that we all love. If we're all assholes and we're all toxic, it's not gonna no one's gonna want to come in. And I'm probably a little bit over the edge with it because I got a 16-year-old daughter that loves doing it, and she's trying to just get out there and she's raised her hand in volunteering to show dogs all over every show we go to, and she had her feel good moment this weekend when it was like somebody literally tracked her down and said, "You showed my dogs at the last show, are you free today?" And it's like, so how cool is that for her? Of like, they could have shit on her. She hasn't won with any of their dogs, but they need a hand in there, and she's getting an opportunity, and they tracked her down. And then, and then, and then to make it even the story even cooler is that was on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday they were in the ring at the same time as Chins. So she didn't get to help show until the Chin finished quicker because it was Siberian Huskies. So there was a ton of Siberian Huskies. So we were done. She runs over. Do you guys need any help? So they're going in for breed. So she grabs Winter's dog. She runs in with Winter's dog. And we get done and we're debriefing and everything. And she's like, your dog got disqualified. That's what the owner said. And we're all looking around like, but she was still in the ring. Like, what are you talking about? She didn't get disqualified. She's in the ring. She's like, no, your dog. And it's the dog that she's been showing for the last 7 shows that she showed. And the owner's calling it her dog. It's like,
Right.
and then the dog wasn't on her because she was showing Chins and it was shown by somebody else and got disqualified. So it's like, talk about a feel good moment. Like that's anti-toxic right there. That lit my kid up for like this huge moment and it's like, that's what we need more of. Like, how can we use what we have to light up the next generation and lift them up to build their excitement? And I know juniors can do some of that, but juniors can be competition and almost get to like dance mommy type of thing too.
I mean, exactly. I mean, I like juniors. I don't have a problem with juniors. Send the letters, Tyson. But that's when you see, like, you met Nancy Malott over at the Kennel Club in Marshall. Who is going to be our next Nancy Malott? Who does like 3 clubs, organizes all this stuff, puts all this work and time and effort for other people to come and enjoy their dogs in performance and obedience and a junior showmanship and hosting a specialty and having a raffle booth and concession stands, all of these things. So I mean, this is something that I think that we need to give more credence to. We need to it's more important to have a Nancy Malott in your club than someone with 100 best in shows, because without them there is no shows. There is none of this. There, I just think as though your daughter going over and helping those people, their dogs showing better for her, all of that. I mean, those are great experiences. Those are relationships, and that's positivity. Yeah, I mean, sure, you get to win the cool prize because you won the group one, but hey, that's pretty great too. And I think
Well,
we need encouraging that.
and it's so easy to just, we'll wrap it up, but it's so easy just to be nice, like it's not hard and it's free. Like even like the little things matter. I say this all the time. Little things matter. They add up to big things. And even on a Sunday afternoon or the last day of the show, whatever it is, or even anytime during the show, to walk over to the club table and just be like, "Hey, thanks for putting this show on. We really appreciate it." That makes their day because they just busted their ass for 9 months to get this show put on for you to come and show your dog. That means the world to those people behind that table.
Absolutely, because they didn't get to bring the big ribbon home. They didn't get to do all of this stuff, and we're going to complain to them about parking. We're going to complain to them about the grooming space. We're going to complain to them about the judging time. We're going to complain to them about this, and this. Well, they're a volunteer. They're a volunteer. They are here to make this available to all of you. So, before you go ahead and dump on them because you think that they're getting rich and famous and all this power, no, no. They're working their asses off and they're volunteering for the sport and the fancy. And they are more important in the dog show community than any ribbons, any awards, because without them, we don't have it. It's not there. And I think that that's something that is maybe becoming a little bit of a lost art, where I don't see people wanting to step in. They say, "Oh, and get dressed up and go win." Oh, that's awesome. But who's going to put on the event? Who's going to do the work? Who has the interest in the breed? All of that stuff. Without that, we have nothing.
Right. And, you know, somebody, I'm not saying names, but he's sitting on the camera with me, has always said, like, clean is free. So is nice. Nice is free. You can say something nice to somebody and maybe make their day, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's a simple. We spend so much time standing around talking crap. We take half that time and say something nice about somebody or something or the show, or thank a judge for coming out, whether they placed us or not. Just a random judge. Thank you for being here. Because guess what? The judge doesn't have to be there either. They didn't have to come to this show. They came to this show. They saw your dogs and they saw somebody's dogs. They saw dogs at this show. And they didn't have to.
And you know what you were saying, because I was just thinking about this last weekend. I had a lovely entry of beaver terriers, and those ladies came over and they were so nice. And they said, "Oh, thank you so much, and we enjoyed showing to you. We had the best time." And they truly, it was like some win, some loss, and it was just I was just felt like, wow, this was really fun. And we talked about their dogs a little bit, and I thought, the breed is in good hands with these people. These are good people. They're promoting the breed, and they're promoting the events that we want to see, and the sportsmanship that is so ideal, and having a good time. So I mean, kudos to them, and it made me happy. I was like going, wow, I'm not gonna, you know, it's like this was worth it, whatever hassle it was getting here, just to experience these people and watching them enjoy their dogs. Pretty awesome.
And that's what it's all about, is just having a good time and experiencing what your dogs have to offer. We're all here for the dogs. So
It's about the
be
dogs.
it, say something positive, something, be the light, be the reason that be a brick in the foundation that changes the sport. And you can do that by either being a negative Nancy, or you can go in and you can be a positive light for somebody and help change somebody's mindset of a breed, a show, anything, and you can make the event go from heartbreak for somebody to super positive experience for somebody just with a few words. So think about that stuff and enjoy your next show and say something nice to somebody at the next show. Thank a Kennel Club member that for putting on the show. Thank a judge for being there. And most importantly, just have fun with your dogs.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the TACBox Podcast. We really appreciate you listening, finding us however you found us, and getting your questions in on our Facebook group so we can answer your questions on one of these episodes. We love the listener questions. It helps our brains get stimulated with giving you the information that you want to know about. So we really appreciate that. And we appreciate you listening to us babble on for an hour every week. So have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the day out there. Enjoy your dogs. And we will talk to you soon.
Take care.